Now, while Lagos copes with disaster, the National Assembly has passed the 2020 budget of 10.6 trillion naira, showing an increase of over 260 billion naira from the initial budget of 10.3 trillion naira presented by the president. Now, federal lawmakers also increased the benchmark of crude oil from $55 to $57 and retained the exchange rate at 305 naira to a dollar as part of the parameters for funding the budget. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
58 days after President Muhammadu Buhari submitted the 2020 budget proposal to a joint session of the National Assembly, and having concluded the defense process, it is considered by both chambers. In the Senate, the chairman of the Committee on Appropriations gives the parameters and assumptions on which the budget is predicated.
In preparing the details of this bill, the committee adopted the 2020 to 2020 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper as approved by the National Assembly.
The MTEF proposes 2.18 million barrels per day as the daily production output for crude in 2020, $57 per barrel as crude oil benchmark price, GDP growth of 2.93%, and an exchange rate of 305 naira to a dollar. President Buhari's budget proposal was 10.3 trillion naira, but the Senate committee presents a budget of 10.6 trillion naira, showing an increase of over 260 billion naira.
The increase allows for interventions in critical areas such as national security, road infrastructure, mines and state development, health, social needs, water, among others.
The lawmakers, however, agree that their job does not end with the passage of the budget.
The issue of oversight should be non-negotiable to ensure that at least this budget meets the purpose for which it's meant.
Let us pass this baby and the clean water and the basin to the executive. So if the child will survive, if it will not survive, our hands are off. We are the baby nurse. We have done our delivery.
Katsina and Borno, 1.5.
The same figures are presented and adopted in the House of Representatives. The National Assembly increased the statutory transfers from 556.7 billion naira to 560 billion naira. There is a slight reduction in recurrent expenditure from 4.88 trillion naira to 4.84 trillion naira. 2.46 trillion naira for capital projects remained unchanged. The 2.4 trillion naira proposed by President Buhari for debt servicing was, however, increased to 2.7 trillion naira. With the insistence of the National Assembly on bigger allocations to capital projects, the Ministry of Works gets the highest capital allocation of 315.6 billion naira against 262 billion naira presented by President Buhari. Education, 84.7 billion against 48 billion presented by the President, and health, 59.9 billion against the President's 46 billion naira proposal. The National Assembly also increased its budget from 125 billion naira to 128 billion naira. This is the earliest in not so recent years that the budget has been passed by the National Assembly. In passing the budget, the lawmakers are optimistic that the country will now return to a January to December budget cycle. But one issue that has characterized the country's budget has been the releases. So the question now is how much of the capital budget will be released to the MDAs and when? Terry Kumi, Channels Television News.